Incredible things. So, another myth versus fact. Natural memory selection is enough. So, we have evolution, we're here, we still survive as a whole, meaning that will be enough, our natural memory. Is this a myth or is this a fact? Then, as obviously, as I'm making this video in the myths section, you can already tell that for me it's a myth. So, my point of this video is just why we still need tools like Supermemo. I will simplify Supermemo to mean incremental reading, spaced repetition, da 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 da. So, for simplicity, Supermemo. Why we need tools like Supermemo to steer what we remember? Why the natural memory selection is not enough? So what's the claim? Evolution endowed us with a forgetting mechanism, something positive by the way, that eliminates irrelevant information and keeps what's important. It is suffice to create modern civilization, we must not need memory crutches. What's the common argument for this claim? The brain automatically forgets only on important stuff. If it's something truly vital, we don't forget it. How many people you may think that says that? If it's important, I will remember it. Usually that's more or less the key on threats of survival. If this is for my survival, I will remember it. That's how we evolved. That, hey, then, if I see that the fire is damaging me, it's burning me, I will remember this fact, so I don't die next time. Or this animal is very dangerous, stuff like that. Yeah, but we don't have that. It's not about my surviving, if it's important or not. So many people will say, if it's important, I will remember it. This is a myth. We will see why. So if the brain is so advanced, can it handle forgetting perfectly on its own? No. Sadly, no. The reality is different. What's the reality? Brain's automatic mode forgets or retains knowledge regardless of our conscious priorities, often based on frequency of use or emotional silence. Means that if it's very tied to an emotion, the stronger the emotion, positive or negative, the harder it is to forget that. A person you really like, it will be easier to have memories of that person, to remember the name and stuff like that, or for your survival or something very negative. A passing of a loved one will be easier to remember the time this happened and stuff like that, even if it's negative. It's often based on frequency. How many times you have heard the cliche of a husband forgetting the birthday of her wife, of his wife, the birthday of his wife or their marriage date? It's a cliche, meaning that this happens. But why they do forget it, even if for them it's important, is because lack of frequency. Here you go. Then, we already know that's a myth. We haven't said why, but we know because it already happens. So not because it's important, it will be kept in memory. Can be important, but it needs frequency. That's why spaced repetition is what it does. You have an artificial repetitions that doesn't occur in real life, so you keep it on long-term memory. The frequency is decreasing. Every time you will see this less and less often. You do the minimum amount of repetitions. With incremental reading, you minimize this to the minimum, absolute. Like even less than 10 for life, for instance. Then, what about modern needs? We can rationally identify certain facts or skills as mission critical. For instance, the NASA, or now the Elon Musk, the SpaceX, the calculations they have to do, they're crucial. It's not just the budget they are playing with. It's just they can be catastrophic, they can explode and pollute or kill people, whatever. I make acknowledge that lives are on the line. Yet these might not be represented often enough for the brain to treat them as vital. Exactly. Oh yeah, this I'm a neurosurgeon, for this cancer. That oh wow, it's a rare type of this cancer that has this variation. Oh shit, I remember something was different, but I forgot exactly what it was. How it was supposed to be. Oh shoot, right? This kind of thing. That oh yeah, it's not enough to treat as vital. No life is on the line, but it's important. That where are my keys? I'm not going to die if I forget where my keys are. But it's something important. That it will be problematic, fastidious, if I forget where the keys. So the quote: the forgetting mechanism wasn't designed for controlling a spacecraft. It was meant for survival in the wild. Exactly. We live a lifestyle that is very unnatural for us. We haven't evolved for living in a suburbs, in a city, and have a nine to five job, and TV, Netflix, internet. We are not designed for that. That's why our memory and our forgetting is optimized for something else, not today's standard, how we live. That's why if it's important and we remember it, doesn't work anymore. It will most of the time work if we are hunter-gatherers. Then, evolution limitations, historical context. Early humans needed quick recall of predators. Exactly. Which animals are a threat for us? Which animals are good to eat? That they are easy to get, or they have a lot of calories or whatever. They easier to digest. The routes, the social bonds, abstract knowledge. And then the abstract knowledge, like chemistry or coding or mathematics, wasn't on the menu, was not that present. Yes, you will have like concepts of belonging, family, spirituality, being death, because people die as well. Yes, you have abstract knowledge, but you don't know what I mean. That most of the time is something concrete. Today, that's not the case. Hey, how memory works with something that is more abstract in nature. Yet again, we haven't evolved, or we haven't evolved much with this. We still have the reptilian brain, so we are lagging behind. We have a reality that doesn't match our evolution. So modern complexity. We juggle advanced fields, medicine, engineering, that demands precise recall of rarely encountered data, like a rare disease, or a piece of, I don't know, shapes engineering that is one case only. That specifically this would only apply in this case. There will be no other machine or, I don't know, construction precisely on that format, that shape, and so on. Then, quote, what suffices for hunting and gathering might fail at maintaining rocket flight calculations. So what was enough for me for survival is not enough for having excruciatingly complex, long, and precise calculations, like in a rocket. So why natural memory falls short? Natural in the sense without using any mnemonics, any techniques. It's frequently based survival. If you see it more often, the brain keeps it. Otherwise, it's lost. Why? It is a lot more useful to know that these animals are a threat, that this kind of mushroom that only appears super rarely in a specific zone might kill you if you eat it in quantity enough. So if you eat one, could just be poisonous, but not deadly poisonous. But what are the chances? One can happen every 3 days or once a week, a threat of an animal, and the other could happen once every 5 years, to say something. What's going to choose the brain? What is daily, right? So you don't forget it. Then, critical but infrequent. That's the thing. It's critical to know, but it's very infrequent. Certain knowledge is rarely used, but yet critical in crisis or specialized tasks, like surgeon rare procedure. It's something of today's lifestyle. It's very rare to have something that is critical, but is infrequent. We could perhaps think about, I don't know, giving birth. If you're in a tribe of hunter-gatherers, I don't know, 100, how many newborns there will be each year? A few. So it's still kind of frequent. So for the same person, it will be infrequent because you will have birth several times maximum at life. But it's again, it's really hard to find something that only happens once a year or less for them. But for us, well, many. We have many knowledge that is very low frequency. And for instance, I have put something, information, on my collection in Supermemo or Anki before for this that I have never seen. So I preemptively put this in my learning. So I wanted to remember this preemptively because when I face this situation, it's critical, but it's also infrequent. And happened that, hey, it still didn't happen. It's been 10 years, this still didn't happen, but it's critical knowledge. Then, a single memory lapse at the wrong time can cost a life, a mission, or a fortune. If it's a rocket, a fortune, and a mission as well. If it's a surgeon or the hunter-gatherers, it will cost your life. This memory lapse can cost your life. Meaning, with using the jargon, you want what is for survival, critical mission critical, to be 100% retention rate. Let's do some examples. This happened. I was alive when the NASA had some misinterpretation, miscommunication, because someone used the metric system expecting the imperial, like meters, yeah, or like kilometers or miles. Is just with this simple thing that for whatever reason you were expecting the imperial system that only the Americans and very few people use, and was the metric system, they lost the Mars proof. Therefore, this millions and a very high budget mission just for this. It failed to remember the unit. Or the fourth same thing for comma versus a dot. Or imagine a surgeon with a knowledge gap that, yeah, knows, no, it's a procedure of 12 hours. No, to do an exchange of a organ. And just happened that some steps, oh wow, is this before than the other one? Or is the other case? Well, what is this? Oh, so there are many steps, but now you are only lapsing the order of few steps. And this could be critical, can cost the patient's life. Because it's a low frequency procedure. That's why usually a good surgeon, before the operation, will reread. Obviously, it's not an incremental reader, so we'll use different methods. Most likely, we'll reread and review that procedure, or even do a mock before the real deal, because of the low frequency. So then, quote, the cost of forgetting is high. When the cost of forgetting is high, you cannot just rely on the brain's autopilot. You cannot trust your brain. You cannot trust your memory. That, oh, just because it's important, I will remember it. That was 2,000 years ago. Not anymore, because of lifestyle has changed too much. Then, what is the role of tools like Supermemo, incremental reading, and so on? You do by priorities, user-driven priority. You decide which facts keep at near 100% recall. The higher the priority, the more frequency it will be presented, therefore the most likely will be near 100% recall. If it's important, critical, regardless of the frequency in the real world. I could have something that I have seen 20 times already in Supermemo, and yet I still have to see it for the first time in real life. Space repetition. With this, minimizes time cost for reviewing the knowledge across lifetime. I don't have to consult to reread an article or part of the textbook, how to do surgery. I already have this surgery in mind, easy to retrieve, and so on. And I do invest the minimum time for that. So long term, I will have spent the least amount of time possible. If I do, let's say, a rare operation 10 times across my life, let's say that I work, I don't know, for 40 years, I do this 4 times. Okay, that means that I will need to reread everything 4 times, relearn 4 times the same knowledge. Because I have a repetition every 10 years, it's too much, I will forget almost everything. Perhaps this is kind of edge case, because if it's only 4 times, is it worth memorizing this during all of your time? Well, if it's a surgeon, perhaps not, because you have the time that you can invest rereading this. Meaning that it's not a critical operation that the patient is dying. As you are going through the content, the patient is dying. Meaning that you can do the operation, the intervention next day or next week. You know what I mean? So the amount of repetitions should be less. So the effort, you commit this to memory, so you can apply it in the future. So if you only do it twice in your life, then perhaps you have wasted your time. Meaning that it would have been better to just repeat and relearn this twice in your life than memorize this preemptively. But you just don't know. You don't know when it's going to happen. So you put it into memory because it's critical, it's mission critical, but it's infrequent. You don't know the frequency, so the best you can do is to put it into memory. Then, Supermemo puts you into driver's seat. No more hoping your brain gets the memo on what's important. You're in full control. Basically, with priorities, to simplify, with priorities, you're telling Supermemo what's important. So instead of the brain, what's important for survival is what's important here for whatever. All of the domains you want. Survival, priority because it's for my job. I want my job so I can pay rent. Therefore, it can become second degree of survival, at some degree. Because I really care about that, and that's it. It's something I really like, but I don't need for my job or survival, So I have many factors that I'm not even aware how many factors there are consciously, but it's one domain, priority. From the highest to the lowest. No elements have the same priority. So then, with this artificial method, I have solved today's problem. I don't have to trust my memory, my brain, because I'm telling Supermemo exactly what's important. And it will schedule this according to priorities. Let's do an example. Very cliche, dictionary lookup or retention memory. Perhaps now this is changing a little, because before the dictionary lookup was on paper. It was very obvious, it was too time consuming. Now it was with internet, with Google. For many years has been on Google, you can look, or online dictionary, But now with AI, it's even more than that. You can produce examples how to use that word. So you're bypassing the dictionary lookup. But the point remains the same. A single peek takes seconds. Every time that, what is this word? I forgot what is this. Over a lifetime, repeated lookups can far exceed the time cost for systematically review the word with a spaced repetition. Exactly what we said with the surgeon. If I only see this word 4 times in my life, it won't be worth it. Could be the case. But if I see this, I know in a lifetime can be massive, I know. 100 to see something, then yeah. I will, instead of asking AI 100 times what was this word, because every time I forget it, I invest a few minutes overall and keep this to memory. And let's say that each lookup it's 5 seconds with AI, it's 500 seconds. And the time I invested to memorize this with special repetition is less than 500. So even if it's very small, I have some benefit. I'm spending less time. It's a silly example, but usually if you do this systematically, the difference is massive. It's not in the minutes. The difference is beyond your lifetime, meaning that what you keep in your memory, you can retrieve, the facts you know, surpass what you could learn in your entire lifespan without using incremental reading. As simple as that. With 15 years, based on my speculation and my anecdotal evidence, I can guess that with 15 years, I have overpassed my lifespan without using incremental reading. I will have never achieved the expertise I have today. Then multiply that. Extend this logic to thousands of crucial facts. Time saved can be monumental. I'm sorry I just did the example ahead of time, what I just mentioned. So the quote, a few seconds of a space reviews can outpace countless dictionary checks. Exactly. Or check with AI and so on. That's why you commit some time today to make the effort to encode this information into a flashcard, to review this flashcard in a short period of time, a few days usually, but this then becomes increasingly large, the interval. So then you will see it a few times in a year, and then once every few years. So let's say, to simplify, that half of the time is at the beginning, at the early stage, and then from tomorrow and ever is the other half. So if you use special repetition consistently, what will happen is that you will save tons of time preventing to look up information once again. So what's the conclusion so far? What was the myth we were talking about? In case you don't remember, the natural selection and the natural memory selection is enough. So our native forgetting mechanism alone doesn't guarantee we retain essential facts, because we live a very artificial lifestyle. We are not designed for that. We didn't evolve for this. If we just backtrack 1 century, how was society 1 century ago? Without computers, without cars, so with horses and stuff like that. And if you go in history, there are changes, but they didn't do as quick as now. That with just a century has been dramatically different. So this doesn't hold anymore. So the key point is that tools like Supermemo, because of incremental reading, ensures high recall of precisely the knowledge we deem most important, because we have set priorities, not just what the brain thinks is important. That's the difference when you select a tool like Anki that only has flashcards. There are no priorities. You're not here. This degree, this domain of victory is not achievable by those apps. You may use other apps, at least today, like Remnode, who has a very crude rudimentary prioritization, like high, mid, low, inactive, archived, stuff like that. That's not a priority queue, are just buckets. Okay, it's something, but you don't get there anyways. So for now, only incremental reading has that. Supermemo implements a full-fledged priority queue. So you can tell Supermemo, hey, feed to my brain according to what I have set, the priorities I have set, according to my job, my preference, requirements, my preferences, pam. Not just what's important for my survival. What's the final takeaway? Evolutionary memory is good for everyday life, but for specialized, abstract, or high-stakes information, conscious intervention is indispensable. There's no way you can trust your gut, your memory, and it will be fine. Don't trust your memory. You'll be a victim of forgetting. Guaranteed. Then, the final thought. Our inborn forgetting filters might keep us alive, but they don't necessarily keep our rockets on course in our planets healthy. To go full circle of everything we have said. Space repetition ensures the knowledge truly matters, never slips away. So I have a question. If we connect this to the other myth we did before, Darwin and Newton, that they didn't need a super memo. My question is today, do you think any human, engineer, or whatever could have built a SpaceX rocket that could go into the space and come back. What do you think? And then the person or people who did that, have they trusted they got that, oh yeah, I will remember those numbers. I will make any explicit effort to remember that because it's important. It's economically important, so therefore I will remember it. Or do you think they had done something specific to put this into memory? A, how this is done. Because if the employee quits or dies or whatever, then how we do it. It's written somewhere, stuff like that. So remember, the natural selection is not enough for the contemporary lifestyle. Not enough. Enough to keep alive, of course. This is because now our needs is, at least in the first world, this is granted. But it's not enough. You will forget what's important. You will forget stuff that is important, that is relevant. So please, it's in your hands to avoid that. As easy as following this course for Supermemo, install Supermemo, learn how to use it with this course, get used to it, get incremental reading. If you don't like Supermemo, create your own tool. I hope someone does that. And you will be on control. You decide what's important based on the priority. And in different videos you will see that priorities are boss. The most important skill to learn in incremental reading is prioritization. And in the aspect of space repetition, it's encoding information, how you formulate the knowledge. Priorities and knowledge formulation, it's all you need to care about. Everything is a consequence of those. It's a win-win. If you succeed on those two, you just need to wait for victories in every single domain. Guaranteed. That's all for now. See you incrementally.